This is the Alden Report.
Hey, it's Mike Alden. I hope you're enjoying the Alden Report as much as I am. I love bringing to you new and exciting people that add value to your life. I'm also super excited to announce my latest book, Bestseller Secrets. Listen, if you're an author, maybe you're thinking about writing a book, maybe you've already written a book, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to continue to grow your brand, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to bring in more leads, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you wrote a cookbook or a children's book, maybe you wrote a fantasy book, a self-help book, a tell-all book, a novel. It doesn't really matter. In my latest book, Bestseller Secrets, I give you all the information that I've literally spent millions of dollars trying to figure this thing out, and I'm going to give it to you absolutely free with my book, Bestseller Secrets. Go to bestsellersecretsbook.com. Again, it's bestsellersecretsbook.com. I give you all the information that I've spent literally millions of dollars trying to figure this whole world out. My books have gone on to do amazing things. I'm a 3-time Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. I've hit #1 on Amazon hundreds of times. My books have been the #1 book in the world against all books in every category. And I've also done this for other authors. And I'm giving you this information absolutely free. Just go to bestsellersecretsbook.com. You got to pay a small processing fee, but it doesn't really matter, again, because I've spent millions of dollars. And here's the other secret. You can do all this stuff yourself. If you don't have a team, that's okay. If you don't have a lot of time, that's okay. You read the information in my book, again, whether you just started writing a book, whether you've written the book, whether you wrote the book years ago, and you want to kind of resurrect it. In my book, Bestseller Secrets, I show you exactly what you need to do, and I'm giving you the book absolutely free. Go to bestsellersecretsbook.com, download the book, take that information, use it to become a bona fide, legitimate #1 bestseller. I show you how to become a #1 bestseller in less than 24 hours. And again, I'm giving you this information for free. Go to bestsellersecretsbook.com. Again, it's bestsellersecretsbook.com.
This is the Alden Report.
Right. Well, my name is Michael Alden, and this is the Alden Report. You know, I'm rocking the glasses right now. I got my Wicked Happy hat on. We're here in Boston. It's a little bit cold, but that's okay. You know, we're having some fun. You know, we're here in 2021, and we got some exciting things going on. You know, my next guest is a prolific author. He's a nutritional expert. He's been on TV for years. He's a product formulator. He's a public speaker. He's a certified herbalist. This guy's doing all sorts of stuff. He's here from Ireland, by way of Ireland, here in the United States. He's been doing some amazing things, and we're going to talk about what's going on with our immune system. Right? It's something that's that we're all talking about now. Everyone now all of a sudden everybody's interested in it. Right? We're going to talk about things like heart disease. We're going to talk about what is pH balance. We're going to answer a lot of questions that a lot of people might have. He's going to give you the real answers to maybe why you should consider, you know, going organic, or maybe why you should consider eating more fruits or more vegetables, or maybe why you should consider not eating certain fruits and certain vegetables. I don't even know if that's a thing, but either way, he's going to educate us. He's going to tell us all about what we should be doing. He's been doing it for a long time. Please help me welcome Dr. Tony O'Donnell. Dr. O'Donnell, thanks so much for being my guest.
Thank you, Mike. It's nice to see you. I like those glasses. That looks good on you.
You know, I got the beard, I'm rocking the glasses. And by the way, these glasses were 99 cents at the dollar store, just so people know. and I have the expensive ones. I like these better because when my daughter sits on them, or when I sit on them, more likely, it doesn't matter. I just go to the dollar store and buy another
break them.
one.
I go through glasses like crazy too.
Yeah, it just is too expensive. So, Dr. O'Donnell, thanks so much for coming on. So you're all the way in California right now, right? You in Santa Monica?
Actually, I see the sunshine right outside my office door here. I know you're probably really cold where you are.
Yeah, it's cold here. We're in Boston. It's amazing with this technology. So I'm so glad you're able to jump on. So for those of our viewers and listeners who don't know much about you, again, they probably would have to be living under a rock or something and never got on TV or the radio to not know who you are. But give us a little bit, because your background's interesting, how you got involved in this whole health and nutrition journey. Tell us about your journey and how you kind of got to where you're at today.
Well, I grew up in a family of 11 in my native Ireland. I was always sick. I was always at the doctor. My father died young when I was 21. My brother just died just a week ago. And then I had my other brother die a couple of years ago as well from heart disease. So we've had a lot of sickness in our family. I also lost my fiance to ovarian cancer, my mom. So a lot of sickness in my family. And then I started looking at what were people eating. So we know that the further away, Mike, we get from the land, the sicker we become. And the closer we stay to the land, the healthier we become. I'm a vegetarian. I'll be 62 here in a couple of weeks, so I feel really good. I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life. And it's all because of how I grew up. I grew up with a lot of food, but there wasn't the right type of food. I ate a lot of ding dongs, donuts, big gulps, French fries, soda pop, pizza, Pepsi, Prozac, similar to what you guys eat here in the United States. And,
hey, listen, I know I'm more rocking the sweatshirt. I do have the big sweatshirt on because although I'm probably the same weight as I was last time you saw me, that's okay. But
yeah, I like it when you
just
say
call me a
rocking,
ding. I think you just call me a ding dong.
Yeah, I was rocking some sweatshirts over the holidays because I ate so much. I had my own zip code. It was just crazy, so much food we have. But anyway, in my native Ireland, I was always sick. My family was sick. I knew there had to be an answer. So I started studying herbal medicine. I've written 15 books, as you know, on health and wellness. I'm on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, all over the United States, helping people understand what quality living is all about. And this is why I talk about superfoods and how important they are for our overall good health.
All right, so that last little thing it subtly dropped. It's superfoods. We hear about this all the time. You hear about these super berries or these fruits that people that maybe haven't never even heard of, but of course they've been around since the beginning of time. But for whatever reason, maybe they got on Dr. Oz or what have you, and all of a sudden now acai berry, right, is the thing. By the way, I love acai bowls, and I'm sure and we know that they're everywhere now. But tell us about like this whole superfood concept. Like, what is your definition of, like, I guess, what a superfood is?
That's a very good question. I get asked that a lot. Well, if you look at some of the longest lived people in the world, the Hunzas, the Vilcabay Indians, the Azerbaijanis, the Titicacans, some of the longest lived people consume Mother Nature, that which Mother Nature provides. So the further away we get from the land, the sicker we become, and the closer we stay to the land, the healthier we become. So these superfoods are designed to provide antioxidant support to mop up some of the free radicals from the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water that we drink. They're given the title superfoods simply because they have what's called, as Dr. Katie always says, innate intelligence. So it knows where to go in the body to provide a superior antioxidant protection against the onslaught of these free radicals from our toxic environment. So acai, goji berry, mangosteens, spirulina, dandelion, maitake, shiitake, cordyceps, these are all what are classified as superfoods based on not only historical use, but also from indigenous tribes who have used these superfoods around the world for their efficacy, their potency, their vibrancy, their free radical scavenging abilities, and not only that, their ability to actually help protect the immune system and give us a fighting chance in our quest to have a good quality of life.
So you mentioned the term free radicals, and I think about the kind of the one-on-one free radicals and how antioxidants help fight the free radicals. So if you had maybe to pick just only one, if you had only one superfood that you could consume every day, and that would be it, which one would it be and why?
Well, that's a very difficult one to answer, Mike.
Oh, you only got one, man.
Yeah, I eat a lot, but resveratrol and grapeseed extract are really powerful alongside, spirulina. Those three would be my top three, but resveratrol has a very interesting track record. Professor Jacques Mescalier from the University of Bordeaux, he isolated what's called grapeseed extract or anthocyanidins or proanthocyanidins. That's the active component that's found in grapes to provide significant free radical scavenging ability for the endothelium or the blood vessels. He was able to prove that in and around France, there's an abundance of grapes, and any country that has an abundance of grapes, various countries of the world have that. They were able to isolate this molecule that provided significant support, not only for overall good health, but also for the heart muscle. So grapeseed or resveratrol, which you get from red wine, this is a very powerful antioxidant, particularly as it actually goes in and acts as, similar to pomegranate, acts as a rotor-rooter for the arteries, while at the same time knocking down and keeping quiet those free radicals that age us and cause massive inflammation.
I had heard about, I think they called it the French paradox, right? And that was, and everyone was like, oh, it's because they're drinking wine. And, people were like, you're trying to figure out what that was. And I've read some studies about it. And it's really what was really helping the French population, because we know that they do definitely eat higher fat content and things like this, and even higher amounts of salt and things like that. But yet they have a much lower incidence of heart disease than we do over here. Is that ultimately because of resveratrol, which is in grapes, which is ultimately in wine?
Yes, absolutely. And there's various types of wine. There are some wines that are superior to others, of course. If you look at the Hansas and if you look at Indians and the Chinese and the Japanese, they consume copious amounts of green tea, which has catechins in it, active component in there in the green tea. When you look at grapes and resveratrol, or the red wine, it has these active components that we talked about. And this is one of the many reasons they've discovered why cardiovascular disease is very low in that country, yet their intake of fat and sugar is very high. So that's what they're actually suggesting, that may be the reason why those conditions don't really exist in that country. If you look at Japan, they consume, as I mentioned momentarily, copious amounts of green tea. Their incidence of cancer is pretty much non-existent. Not only that, their longevity is very high.
I know you're in your, I think you're in your store, and in the background there, I see all these supplements, and I know that you're a product formulator, and probably almost all of those behind you are products that you've formulated. And later on, we're going to give our viewers and listeners an opportunity to take advantage of some of your products later on in a bit. But I want to ask you about, you hear also a lot about, alkalinity. And I've been in this world for a while. You've been in it a little bit longer than me. No disrespect to your age or anything. You look amazing. And I better tell you, when I'm 62, I want to look that good too. But so what's going on with pH? Why is pH so important? What's this whole alkalinity thing? I mean, Alex Guerrero, who's Tom Brady's guru out here, he's always talking about it. Brady's always talking about it. Brady's no longer here. He's down in Tampa, but that's okay. We're not bitter. What's up with pH, alkalinity? Why is it important, and why should people pay attention to it?
Well, I wrote a book about miracle pH secrets, miracle superfoods that heal, out of one of the 15 books that I've written. They discovered that bacteria and viruses, Mike, cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. pH stands for the potential of hydrogen. That's how much of a solution is actually in our bloodstream. We need 2 parts potassium, 1 part sodium in order for the heart muscle to function effectively. This is why electrolytes are really important, particularly for those of us who are weekend warriors, or those of us who are very active, or athletes. So pH balancing is really important, because the pH scale goes from 0 to 14. 7.0 is neutral. Anything above 7.0 is alkaline, and anything below is acid. In an acid condition, you actually pull a lot of the bone from the matrix of your body, and as a result, you start to crumble, start to fall apart. So pH balancing is really, really important. So when you're in an acid condition, you're actually creating what's called dysbiosis or acidosis. So you're actually wrecking your body. You're making your body much more sick. In an alkaline state, bacteria and viruses cannot survive. This was proven in 1939, 1941 by Johanna von Budwig and Otto von Warburg, proving that bacteria, the Nobel Prize in fact was won, proving that bacteria and viruses cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. So the more oxygen-rich foods you can get into your body, the healthier you are.
Give me an example of something that really wreaks havoc on one's own pH balance. Is it coffee? Is it soda? Are there certain foods that people eat that just absolutely would destroy one's pH?
Yeah, coffee drives it down significantly. Soda pop, these types of burgers, fries, ding dongs, bread, all these things that are actually processed, they tend to create an imbalance of your pH. So you want to make sure that the pH stays in the right ratio, 7.1, 7.2, thereabouts, give or take. So it's really important that it stays in an alkaline state. Just like a plane when it's flying, all of the weight isn't at the back, it isn't at the front, it isn't at the side. So it's evenly distributed throughout the plane, so the plane can fly in a normal way with homeostasis and balance. You wouldn't put all the weight on one side and hoping that the plane could actually fly comfortably throughout the flight. That doesn't work that way. Same with our body. Fluids are really important, particularly electrolytes and pH balancing. So things like coffee, soda pop, beer, saturated fat, processed foods, milk in particular, this causes a lot of acidosis in our body. And as a result, we actually start to crumble. We actually tear out our bone when our body is very acidic. And when you have a lot of acid in your body, you have ill health.
How does, I've seen these pH test strips before, like in the health food store, or you see them online. How does someone really accurately kind of gauge whether or not their pH is not balanced properly?
Well, you can see it from their skin, their hair, and their nails, and also from their level of mobility. If you're suffering from a lot of inflammation, that's usually an indication that you have a lot of acidosis, a lot of inflammation in your body. If you're eating the wrong types of food, if you're eating if you're eating plant-based food, you'll have less acidity and less inflammation. If you eat a processed diet, which most of us do on a daily basis, we're the most overfed, undernourished, overmedicated nation in the world. We read more prescriptions in America than the entire world combined. we're some of the fattest people on the planet. Child obesity has skyrocketed. This is the first generation where children will die before their parents. So when you eat soda pop and pizza and Pepsi and Prozac, this type of diet, this type of approach to your dietary intake and the choices that you make on a daily basis will cause you to have arthritic conditions, will cause you to have wear and tear on your joints and on your legs and on your ligaments, ankles, knees, feet, that type of thing. Your back, you start to break down, you start to crumble. In cultures that eat a plant-based diet, they tend to have stronger bones, a stronger matrix. I was reading about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the football player from Sweden. He played for Manchester United, he played for a couple of Italian clubs, played for Real Madrid, actually played for Barcelona. And now he's playing for another Italian club. I think it's Inter Milan or AC Milan, one of those two. And they couldn't believe his bone matrix. And they took a look at what he was eating. It was primarily all plant-based. Plus, he's also a Taekwondo master. So he's got his first or second degree black belt in Taekwondo. So he's very active and very fit. And he's very tall. So it's very unusual for him to have the bone matrix that he has. And the only thing that they could conclude was not only that he came from Sweden, so he's Norwegian, he's Swedish, but also the Nordic people tend to be very strong and very agile and very fit. But his bone matrix was so remarkable, the doctors were studying. He had an injury 2 years ago playing for Manchester United. They shipped him off to Philadelphia to have some treatment, and they couldn't believe how fast he healed because his bones were so strong. And the only thing that they could conclude was that he was on a plant-based diet.
Well, that's interesting. In a second, I want to talk to you a little bit more about this pH, and then I want to talk to you about, why organic is important and how and can you really tell? I mean, I see organic and then I read the labels and I see it's kind of organic. It's not really organic. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that, why that's important, and also how that kind of does impact your pH. Again, for those of you who are listening or those of you who are watching, if you'd like some more information about Dr. Tony, you could just go ahead and text Tony to 978-999-3113. Again, text Tony to 978-999-3113. We're going to go ahead and send you some information where you can learn a little bit more about Dr. Tony. You can take a look at some of his products. Again, he's formulated a lot of different products. He has some kind of core ones that I'm a big fan of. We're going to send you that information. He's also going to give you a discount on future orders and also the product itself. So if you'd like some more information, again, text Tony to 978-999-3113. All right. So this whole thing about, organic. So we're here in Boston. See, out your way, like, Santa Monica, San Diego, like everyone in California just seems healthier than out here. Maybe it's because you're getting more sun, more vitamin D, you're able to go out more. That's probably a big part of it. But, you really, a lot of the, kind of the health and wellness crazes or what have you, they seem to come from, the West Coast than here on the East Coast. Let's talk a little bit about organic. Why is organic important? And also, how can you really tell if something is really organic?
Well, that's a very good question. There is significant confusion, Mike, in the marketplace.
That's why I ask, because I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm confused myself. There is a school of thought that suggests that organic produce and fresh fruits and vegetables that are not sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, obviously are better for you. And I believe that. But the challenge is we're not sure sometimes what's on the label. Is it true? We're not sure. For example, I was watching 48 Hours a few years ago, and they did a story on one of the leading health food stores in the United States, whose name I will leave out. And they had a line of organic so-called products, and the producer and the host wanted to find out where it was produced. So they said it was made in China. So they went to China. They had certification that it was organic in the United States. So they said, where are you getting it from? We're getting it from a farm in China. So the producers and the host went after the farm that was supposedly produced, but it wasn't organic at all. So there's a law that was passed, as you know, a couple of years ago called the Truth in Labeling. So it's really important that you look at the label and assay every single thing, meaning that you see exactly what you're getting. It's very hard to know right now because there's so much genetically modified food in the marketplace. I like to support organic farmers. I like those guys that grow all the produce. They get up so early in the morning. They go to these markets at the weekend. They work their tail off for very little money. I like to support organic farming. And also, companies are putting themselves, as you know, at tremendous risk and liability and litigation by not disclosing exactly what's in their product. That's really important. So when in doubt, go and shop at your local farmer's market, and then you know you're actually really getting good stuff. Or better still, go visit the farms. I know another company I asked a guy who's a leading company in the United States, I said, where do you get your raw materials from? He said, oh, we get them from South America. I said, you get them from an organic farm? Oh, yeah. I said, have you ever been? He said, no, I haven't. I said, how do you know? Well, that same company, unfortunately, California Prop 65 shut that same company down, and the owner passed away because of all the stress in dealing with government regulators. So there's real challenges when it comes to organic produce and what is certified organic and how the organic certification process actually happens. Very confusing. So when in doubt, ask questions. Ask them for what's called a certificate of analysis to prove that actually what's in your product is truly in your product. It's sad that we have to do that, but that's where we are today.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm starting to see that, in other spaces. It's becoming a big thing within the CBD space. It's a requirement, but not really. It's kind of like an industry standard. As far as a certificate of analysis as it relates to kind of like THC levels. It's funny. Years ago I was with my daughter and we went to this organic strawberry farm, and I was excited because they look beautiful and they just we're like, oh cool, let's go ahead and pick strawberries. And she was a little girl and we had fun. And I asked the farmer. I said, how, can you show me that it's organic? He says, well, it just is. And now the reason why I had asked him, because I passed the farm almost every day and I saw that they were definitely spraying something one day. Right. And I said, but were you guys spraying some sort of chemicals? And he said, well, yeah, we were spraying pesticides. But he says, this is what he said. He said the pesticides were not sprayed on the strawberries. We sprayed the pesticides before the strawberries actually grew. And then in my head, I was like, well, wait a minute. It's coming from the plant somewhere. Those chemicals got to get to you somehow, right? That would, to me, was like, it blew my mind. It's like a local farmer.
There is significant spraying that goes on. I'm a farmer from Ireland. I grew up in a family of 11 back in my native Ireland, so I know a lot about farming. And the farmer will spray all the time. And many of those people later got various types of cancer and died very young as a result of all this spray. It's just absolutely awful. The smell of diesel oil and the smell of farmers spraying nonstop. And these are small farms in my native Ireland. So I was very chemically sensitive at a very young age, and I can tell. So it's really important when I eat certain types of food, whether they're good for me or whether they're chemicalized or whether I get sick or whether I have an ab reaction. So it's really important that you choose carefully what you put into your body. You only have one life and you get to pass this way but one time. And this is why I love superfoods. That's why I love green superfoods, because the further away we get from Mother Nature, as you know, Mike, the sicker we become, and the closer we stay to Mother Nature, the healthier we become. So ask questions and make sure you know the source. That's really important.
You touched upon, again, superfoods again and greens. I know, again, some of your kind of your best-selling products are a combination or one and two together with vegetables and another one with fruits. And then combined as well. So tell me a little bit about greens, right? You see all these greens drinks out there. You see greens products out there. There's a couple of great marketing companies out there that are really just marketing the heck out of, their greens formula. Tell me a little bit about just greens in general, right? Like the type of greens that we should eat. And then also, kind of the supplementation world as well about, some of these greens products out there. And again, I know that you have some stuff of your own that does really well. It's been formulated. Why is it important to get our greens in? And also, like, for someone like me who tries to be keto, which I'm really not, but I try to be, how do you get the greens in on a daily basis so that it's beneficial, so that you can, in fact, protect your immune system, keep your pH low, and reduce inflammation?
Good question, Mike. Well, when I was growing up in my native Ireland, as I mentioned earlier, I was always sick. I was always at the doctor. I had plenty of food, but I was eating the wrong types of food. And I was a sickly child and a weakly child. I was good at sports, decent in school, but I was always sick. So I started seeking. So scripture says, whatever you are seeking is also seeking you. So green foods are the highest on the DNA chain. Green foods are loaded with chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is the blood of plants with almost an identical molecular structure as hemoglobin, which is the blood of human beings. And basically what that means in layman's term is when we're able to harness the energy of sunshine, we take that sunshine, which hits the plants. When it hits the plants, it actually creates what's called chlorophyll or photosynthesis. When you take this into your body, it oxygenates the blood. And that's why the Nobel Prize was won way back, as I mentioned earlier, in 1939, 1941, proving that bacteria and viruses cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the longest lived people in the world. And what I have found that they eat off the land. They're not eating ding dongs or donuts or pizza or Pepsi. They don't have access to that kind of stuff. They're eating rich green superfoods that oxygenate the blood. And that goes back to what you asked me the question earlier about what's a superfood. These superfoods by the indigenous tribes in the rainforest have been tested and tried and utilized by the families for years and years and years. And this is what they call a superfood because of its potency, its efficacy, its bioavailability, and its historical use. So I like things like green tea, spirulina, dandelion, maitake, shiitake, cordyceps, alpha lipoic, acai, you like grapeseed extract, resveratrol, all of these superfoods put together in a powder. You want to get it in a powder form because when you take it in a powder form, it's in what's called a bioavailable state, meaning that the body doesn't have to go to work to break it down. I've been using it not only on my skin, I wash my face with it, but also I've been drinking superfoods for 20 plus years right now. This is why I feel so alive and so energetic. This is why I get compliments on my skin when I do morning news shows. I never have to wear makeup on camera because they said, oh, your skin is glowing, whatever you're taking. I want to be taking that. So green foods are a return to the basics of the food group. They're the first product of light. They're loaded with chlorophyll, as I mentioned earlier, and chlorophyll is that energizing stuff that we find from plants and that we get and harness from the power of Mother Nature, and particularly from sunlight. So when sunlight hits those plants, it turns them green. You want to be getting those into your body as quickly and as often as possible on a continuous basis, because they really provide the first line of defense in the fight against degenerative disease from the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water that we drink.
What about, the food we eat and the water that we drink? So can we effectively and economically, kind of get these nutrients that we need, that we desire? I mean, can you go to your local grocery store and just buy this stuff and do it on a daily basis? I mean, is that a reality now? I mean, I've heard things about how the soil is depleted and things of this nature. Like, so, someone's listening to you right now and they're like, you know what? Okay, Dr. Tony, he's resonating with me. I get it. I'm gonna start eating healthy. I'm gonna start eating greens. I mean, can you go to the grocery store and just get this stuff?
You can, but it would cost you a couple of $100 just to buy the stuff, and the inconvenience of running to the store, picking all these fresh fruits and vegetables. Roughly, Mike, 86% of the US population hardly eat any fresh fruits and vegetables. When I lost my father, my mother, my brother, and uncle, cousin, fiance to heart disease and cancer, this is what set me on this journey. This is why I write the books. This is why I stay up late and get up early. This is why I do all the morning news shows. This is why I do a show with you. I mean, you're a pioneer in this business. So you can get it at your health food store, but it costs too much and it takes too much time. And you won't get some of the exotic herbs that you find in these green powder superfoods that I mentioned. So we put together a collage of superfoods together in one bottle, culminated from years of research and also from talking to some of the longest lived people in the world. And when you talk to these people, they're fit, they're lean, they're healthy. They have a six-pack, they have beautiful hair, skin, and nails. They're very happy, and they live off the land. And when we live off the land, we nourish our body with the right nutrients. You mentioned something that was really important. As a farm boy, we always cultivated the land. We tilled the land. We put fertilizer on the land. We wanted to make sure, my late father would say, I want to make sure that we have a good harvest next season. If we didn't have a good harvest, then we didn't get to eat that which we would normally eat. So it's really important that the farmers had a good harvest every single year. So when land is cultivated over and over and over and over, the topsoil is completely eroded. So there's little or no vitamins or minerals left. And consequently, as a result, the food that you're eating has no nutritional value because the vitamins and minerals have been depleted. So being that farm boy back in Ireland, it was really important. I used to say to my late father, I said, Dad, we need to go fertilize the land. He said, yes, son, we need to go fertilize the land because it's really important because we were dependent. And so were our neighbors who were all farmers. We were dependent on the crop. And if you didn't harvest, and if you didn't cultivate properly, but you would never sow potatoes over and over and over, or hay or corn or whatever you were sowing, you would never sow it over and over and over, the same crop on a continuous basis on the same plot of land or the same plot of soil, because it wouldn't yield a good crop. And consequently, as a result, you have to find a new plot of land. That's why farmers are very rich in Ireland. They own a lot of soil and a lot of land. My sister owned about 50 acres up until recently. She sold, and she's older now, she's in the late 70s, moved in closer to the town where she lives, but she lived on 50 acres. Farming is really important in Ireland. It's not as popular obviously with the youth, because they've moved off the land and moved to the cities, or moved to London, or moved to America if they have a relative here. But farming is really important. Most people don't understand it. And they don't understand the composition of the land. If you don't have the nitrogen, you don't have the phosphorus in the soil, and you're not going to get a good crop. And this is why our soil is so depleted. Consequently, Mike, it's really important that we supplement with the right nutrients, primarily organic, if you can get it. As long as you get it from the right source, that's really important. I always support local farming, local farmers, farmers markets around the country. I don't really go to a lot of big stores to buy all my produce. Sometimes I do, but I like to support the farmers because they are the backbone of this great country, which we call the United States.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And a second, again, make sure you definitely do support your local farmers. I do that here as well. And there is a big difference, and actually even the taste profile of some of the stuff. You get a cucumber from your local farmer, it just tastes better. By the way, it might look a little bit different. It might be a little bit smaller. It might not be as shiny and as green as the stuff you see in the stores, because it is in fact natural, and it's not designed to be almost electric as far as the colors are concerned, right? Because a lot of the stuff is actually chemically induced. And I do want to talk to you about how do we know the differences between synthetic vitamins? Because we always hear them every year. There's research that comes out that says that vitamins aren't good for you. But when you look into the research, like I have and like you have, you find that the research is actually being conducted on synthetic vitamins, which so many people are taking. I want to talk to you about that in a second. But again, I'm sure our viewers and listeners definitely want to reach out and find out some more information about you. Again, folks, we've been on with Dr. Tony O'Donnell, and as you can tell, I mean, he's just a plethora of knowledge. I mean, I'm so excited about this format because we could just go. I don't know how long we're going to go, but we're going to keep going until until we have to finally stop. But if you'd like some more information about Dr. O'Donnell, you can just text Tony to 978-999-3113. Again, text Tony to 978-999-3113. You can learn about Dr. Tony. You can learn about his products. You can learn about, this lifestyle that he's obviously he's living and breathing in himself. He's talking about it himself. And again, if you remember why he's doing this, because he saw his own family members die from heart disease, cancer, and over and over and over again. And his fiance died of cancer. So his passion comes from a pure place. And that's why he's here today. And that's why he's doing what he's doing again. So text Tony to 978-999-3113. So, synthetic vitamins, right? I know that there's synthetic forms of vitamin D, there's synthetic forms of vitamin C. And so when you go to the local, not local, you go to these national drug chains, or these national grocery store chains, or these national vitamin type chains. And you see that, again, I know you sell a lot of products, or you're in your store right now, and they're all natural and organic based. But you might see a vitamin C, let's say, again, one of these large chains, and it's like $8, $7. And then you might see, I don't even know if you sell vitamin C, but let's say you have vitamin C, and your vitamin C might be 2 or even 3 times that, right? And why is that? What's going on with the synthetic thing? And again, in the research, you're going to talk a little bit more educated than I am. I see the research that says, hey, vitamin C actually increase people's mortality rate. But when you look at it, it's a synthetic form of vitamin C. Or same thing with vitamin E or D and all these antioxidant vitamins that people know about. I got to stop and just let you answer the question. What's going on with this synthetic vitamins versus natural vitamins?
Great question. You want to be able to get your nutrients. First of all, let's back up. We've been conditioned as human beings, just like we're conditioned right now to wear a mask. Everybody's wearing a mask all across the country. There's a significant amount of paranoia going on with a lot of people. That's a whole different story. That's another podcast for another day.
I've been conditioned to wear these cool glasses that I got for $1
exactly.
at the
rocking
dollar
that
store.
jacket, rocking those 99-cent glasses.
That's it.
So we have been conditioned from a very early age. Take your vitamins, take your supplements, drink your milk, take your drugs, take your medication, do your pharmaceutical stuff, do this, do that. And as a result, it's very difficult for people to break the habit and break the norm. So if you possibly can, you should be able to get all your nutrients from plant-based food, because it's a much better source. It's a source, and my honey, Dr. Katie, she's an expert in plant-based superfoods. and formulations, particularly vitamin C, because she's a nutritionist to the stars. So if you can get your nutrients from a plant-based food, it's much better than getting it from a synthetic source, simply because of the efficacy, the potency, the absorbency, and the bioavailability, meaning how do you absorb it? When you take something into your body, particularly a superfood, which is derived from Mother Nature, God's creation, it gets absorbed into the bloodstream right away. You can take the whole bottle of a superfood, a whole bottle of vitamin C, if it's plant-based, and not do you any harm. You won't be running to the bathroom. If you take synthetic vitamin C, it could actually do some damage to RNA and DNA. So most vitamin C is made of corn and acetone, and corn is genetically modified, and that's a whole different story right now. And the rest is made of nail polish. So that's how vitamin C is actually made, this ascorbic acid. So Linus Pauling talked about
Hold on a second. You just said vitamin C is made from nail polish?
It's made from acetone, and genetically modified corn. Yes, that's what it's made from. It's
so
pretty sad.
So that would make sense why with these studies again about vitamin C is you take your vitamin C. In fact, there was a big study years ago, right? I'm sure you probably remember. There was a big study years ago, and they had to stop it because they found that the people that were taking the vitamin C, again, their mortality rate increased, and they stopped the whole study. And then when you go back and you look at it, it was like, yeah. So now I know why, because they were taking essentially nail polish. How can you tell? So you go to the store, like I used to be able to tell. I'm losing my mind a little bit. Like, isn't there like a DL, like tocopherol and all these? Like, how can someone tell when you're looking at, let's say, a synthetic vitamin C versus a synthetic vitamin D or E? Is there a telltale thing? Isn't there usually like an L or something like that in the chemical description?
There are so many letters of the Greek alphabet, it would confuse the heck out of you. You have to go back to math school again. So there's the alpha tocopherol, there's tocopherol, there's vitamin D, there's vitamin D1, there's vitamin D2, there's vitamin D3. The most important thing you should look at when you go and pick up a bottle of anything that you see on the shelf, is it plant-based? If it doesn't say plant-based, forget about all the L's and the tocopherols and the D-alpha tocopherols. If it doesn't say plant-based on the label, then it's not, it's synthetic. The challenge, Mike, we're faced with is a lot of manufacturers and a lot of companies, they want to make an awful lot of money. It's very cheap to make synthetic vitamins, and then they fortify them. This is what happened to a major corporation that I'm aware of in Canada fairly recently. They fortified their protein powders, they fortified their shakes, they fortified their bars. And of course, the Canadian government, the Health Canada is really, really strict. So they actually put a cease and desist on them, so they can't sell the product up there to the people. They can still buy it, but they can't distribute it. So this is a real problem that we're faced with here in the United States. Like you said, some people who took the vitamin C actually increased their mortality rate, and that's very dangerous, because you don't want to be putting chemicalized, industrialized pollution into your body. Your body responds better to plant-based food. It is much better for you. It's obviously less toxic. It's non-toxic. It's organic. It's free of fillers, binders, waxes, and alcohol. This is presenting a lot of synthetic vitamins, and it's not a good thing. And I probably get some rap for this from a lot of manufacturers or people who own vitamin companies by saying this. The more plant-based foods you can get into your body, the leaner, the fitter, the healthier you are, your better hair, skin, and nails, and the absorption factor. So you don't want to put gelatin. I mean, gelatin is made from pig's feet. That's what's in most vitamin
that's what most of the vitamin capsules are made from, right?
Yeah, they're made from pig's feet. So that's really a real issue. Gelatin, they cut open some people's abdomen and they found all this gelatinous type material in their gut, because you just can't absorb it, because the ascorbic acid just burns it right up. And so you got all this stuff lying in your gut. When you take a scoop of green superfoods or a scoop of plant-based vitamin C, you can take the whole bottle and doesn't have an ab reaction, and it's much better for you. And it's not from chemicals, it's not chemicalized, and it's not derived from an animal. It's plant-based. So this is what you can find when you're in a health food store. I was in a health food store yesterday, and it's confusing. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of items. Where do you start? There's just a handful that's plant-based. Plant-based takes a lot of work. There's a significant amount of manufacturing that has to take place in order to make these plant-based foods. So for example, one scoop of vitamin C, plant-based, is equivalent to 25,000 milligrams of a synthetic. So you can imagine, so you're taking one scoop of this plant-based vitamin C, it's off the charts amazing. You only need just a little bit of it, whereas with synthetic, you have to take an awful lot to get the same potency. So
and that's also, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's also a scenario where you do hear people saying, it does become toxic to people at that point when you're taking 25,000, milligrams or international units of anything that's synthetic. I mean, people, like you said, like if it's plant-based, you just take it as much as you want. And your body will absorb what it can absorb and then excrete what it doesn't need.
Exactly.
But like if it is synthetic, and again, folks, if you're listening, we're on with Dr. Tony O'Donnell, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on, I've known him actually for years, and we've talked a lot and over the years, and I know he's as real as it gets, and I also know that he lives this life, that he's promoting the natural way, he's promoting a health and wellness, products and services that he's developed on his own that are in fact plant-based, that you can trust. And for me, even again, as I go into the stores myself and I look at these labels and they look beautiful and they have these beautiful images of fruit or vegetables on them, and they make it seem like they are in fact natural. In fact, some of the names of these companies use the word nature in them, and so that you feel like you're taking something. I remember when I was a kid, I used to take this vitamin every single day because my dad said I should take it, and it's a major brand. They still exist today, owned by a drug company, and it was like these one a day type vitamins. But when you look at the ingredients and you understand them, now that I'm 45, going to be 46, now that I've spent a little bit of time in this industry, I understand that what I was taking every day was literally junk. And what I like about Dr. O'Donnell is his products and his significant other, Katie, is because they develop natural products that in fact not only work, but you can trust. So again, earlier I mentioned how you can get a hold of Dr. Tony and see his products. If you just text Tony to 978-999-3113. Again, text 978-999-3113. And, you can learn about his products. You can learn about his past. You can learn about the things that he's done. And here's the other thing too, is you can trust him. Look, I've been on TV for the past 10 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with people like Dr. O'Donnell. And look, it's COVID. He's in California. I'm here in Boston. I don't even think he can leave the state if we wanted to have him here in our studio. So I'm glad you were able to come on and talk about this. And again, I'm not going to let you go. I keep saying, we're going to let people go, but I'm not letting you go because I got more questions. Next question I have for you is, we're talking about, the disease states, right? And when I'm constricted for time, as far as on television, we can only cover so many things, but we have a little bit of time now. Hopefully you have more time. We can cover things, but I also don't want people to think that we're talking about some sort of pill or potion or what have you that has like a panacea effect. In other words, there is no one pill, powder, and potion that's going to solve everything, but there are certain things that you can take that are going to help you, long term, again, as far as your immune system and things like that. So let's talk about. You mentioned two diseases, the number one, number two killers here in the United States and worldwide as well, heart disease and cancer. Let's talk about heart disease for a second, and why is heart disease continuing to be on the rise when it seems like we are getting a little bit more educated? It seems like even the traditional doctors are starting to recognize the things that you're talking about. What's going on, with heart disease, and how can fruits and vegetables and supplementation of fruits and vegetables kind of help, with this disease state?
Good question, Mike. I lost my father when I was 21. This is what got me on this journey to creating products and writing books and appearing on television and radio all over the world now. I was a young man back in my native Ireland, 21 years old and scared, and family of 11, and losing my dad, the head of the household. Heart disease is a huge problem, and it's not going away, and it's not getting any better. And we know that over 1 million people, 1.1 million people die every year from heart disease in this country. It's one of the leading causes of mortality. We can change the trajectory of that by making simple choices. They've found that in cultures that consume copious amounts of greens or fresh fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. Remember I said earlier, 86% of the US population, Mike, hardly eat any fresh fruits and vegetables. Yet the studies and the United States Department of Agriculture suggest we should be consuming, they changed the food pyramid a couple of years ago, we should be consuming up to 13 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables every single day. Most of us don't get close. We're not exercising like we should, of course, with COVID in place right now and not getting any better as we move into the new year. People are not moving their bodies. They're eating more. They're putting on more weight. Diabetes has skyrocketed. It's gone up 600% in the last 12 years. It's incredible. Most people are getting about 30 minutes of exercise a week, if they even get that far. Most people are not doing so. And as a result, they're not moving their body. They're gaining more weight. They're more stressed than ever before. There's lots of challenges at home. There's financial stress, there's physical stress, there's emotional stress, there's psychological stress. And as a result, people get sick and people have heart disease. My brother had a clot in his body a week ago back in my native Ireland. Unfortunately, went straight to his heart and killed him. He had a pre-existing condition. He had diabetes. He was a little bit overweight. He had a health challenge. He felt dizzy. It felt like his circulation wasn't working, went into the hospital, and they didn't get to him fast enough. My father died. He smoked 50 cigarettes, 40, 50 cigarettes a day. He passed away when he was 56. My brother smoked 30, 40, 50 cigarettes a day. He passed away. My brother-in-law smoked 40, 50 cigarettes and more every single day. He got cancer. So you get all these things, all these complementary things that you think won't do you any harm, but they're really damaging. So if we could switch out all those things that are causing us to have ill health and instead integrate plant-based vitamin C, plant-based green superfoods, proper nutrition, prayer, meditation, yoga, Pilates, stillness, mindfulness, then we can have a better quality of life. But the real key, according to some of the experts, particularly Dr. Stephen Sinatra, my good friend down there in Florida, Dr. Dean Ornish, Stephen Holt, my good friend out in New York City, all these leading doctors all extol the health benefits of plant-based foods, because the further away, Mike, you get from the land, the sicker you become. And the closer you stay to the land, the healthier we become. So we've got to put really good foods into our body, watch our weight, make sure that we cut back on our sugar content, our saturated fat and processed food, and all of the stuff, the junk that we put into our body, and the lack of exercise. If we can actually train our body to move as much as possible. I met a 91-year-old man once at the gym, and I said, "What's your secret to staying fit and healthy?" He said, "Young man, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving." That's one of the keys.
Yeah, it's real interesting you say that, because, you hear about people who go and they retire, right? So they go to, they either go to Florida or Arizona, and then they just stop moving, and then they don't live much longer. It's like, but when you meet successful people like yourself, you're always, quote, working, right? You're always doing stuff. You're always moving. You're literally on the move. And I saw a documentary, and they asked this guy, what the fountain of youth was, and it's exactly what that 91-year-old man said. He said it's called moving. You got to keep moving, because your body was designed to move. Once you stop moving, then that's when all the challenges happen. And
another thing that happens, Mike, as well, the basal metabolic rate, that's the rate at which you burn food for fuel as a source of energy, slows down dramatically when you actually put on extra pounds, so your body can't burn it off. So the real key is get into action, get into a gym if you can, move your body, cycle, row, swim, whatever it is that you can do to move your body. I hike all the time. I have a Tesla car. I park it at the lake, and I charge my car there, and I walk around the lake for 4 miles. That really is really fantastic for your body. Not only that, you can meditate, you say hello to other people, you're in Mother Nature. Just find things to do to move your body. And then, of course, proper nutrition and a connection with Spirit, God, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, it's interesting too when you talk about mindfulness. I've talked about this in my books. I've talked about it pretty publicly myself. About 8 years ago, I had just a full-on panic attack where I thought I knew what was happening. I knew I wasn't having a heart attack, and because I had them before in law school when I was in law school, but not this bad. And I decided right then and there that that was on a Friday. That Monday, I learned TM, Transcendental Meditation, changed my life. I put all my employees, including Jason, who through TM, and it's really kind of changed my life. And now, as we're in the midst of this pandemic, and we're at whatever stage we're at right now, it seems to be like the in thing now. Everybody's talking about mental health, and it's okay to talk about mental health now, but it wasn't a few years ago, because you were like stigmatized because you weren't addressing it. But the thing is you need to address it. And what's also interesting about what you're talking about is, when you're putting good nutrients in your body, your mental state has a positive impact too, right? Like a lot of times you don't necessarily notice it. I happen to notice it when I don't, for instance, take, like we have our own vitamins as well that we take. When I don't take some of the products that we sell on a daily basis, I'm like, man, I'm kind of in a funk. And then I was like, oh yeah, I didn't provide, didn't give my body the nutrients that it needs.
I can really feel the difference when I travel, and if I happen to miss out on my regimen that I have under normal circumstances when I'm at home. But when I travel across the country doing television, I can really feel the difference. I always try and go and find a juice bar, look it up online, or have my assistant look up and find out where the best food is when I go into a different state. So I go everywhere from California to New York to Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Albuquerque, El Paso, Phoenix, Palm Springs, Vegas, San Diego. I work that whole circuit for morning news shows. I'm doing that continuously. In fact, I start this month doing that all across the country, both live segments as well as pre-tape segments. So nutrition is really important. And of course, rest, family, friends, prayer, meditation, and connection with others. And one of the most important things, Mike, I'm a clinical psychologist too, as you know, PhD in addiction. One of the most important things I found going through grad school, you're a lawyer, so you know this, they found that the more excitement the doctor has for the well-being of his or her patient, the faster the patient got well. That was a transfer of energy into the mind and the heart and the soul of the other person. I thought that was fascinating. One of the most important things I learned in grad school. So that excitement, that enthusiasm, because when you grow up in a family of 11, when you lose all your loved ones to heart disease and cancer, including my fiance, she weighed 57 pounds when she died. She was on lifestyles of the rich and famous, flew on private jets around the world. This is what got me compelled to write those books and to do the television, do the radio, just featured in Huffington Post last month. So I'm very blessed. I was on Daystar Television in June all over the world. There's just amazing people there in Dallas, Texas. It's the largest network in the world of evangelicals. So just really absolutely fantastic. So I'm totally blessed to do this, and I'm excited to spend some time with you, really.
I get it. I know that you're busy. All the stuff you're talking about, you're doing. So I'm not going to keep you any longer, I promise. But before I do let you go, what are maybe like 1, 2, or 3 things, or maybe something you want to leave our viewers and listeners with that they absolutely should do? I mean, I feel like you've already touched upon this stuff, whatever. But are there some things they should say, like, look, if I want to get healthier, like today, starting right now, these are the things that you should absolutely do moving forward?
Well, 2 out of 3 people might have low levels of self-esteem. 85% of people don't like themselves in the United States. And I want to tell people right now that you are important. You are worthwhile. You have a purpose. You have meaning. I've had so many challenges when I came to the United States, and living and sleeping on the floor for the first 2 years. I slept on a futon. I didn't have my immigration papers. There's a lot of people struggling right now. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of discomfort. There's a lot of stress with a lot of people. A lot of people take a lot of medication. So I want you to stop and start reflecting right now on your life and where you are. We live in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. We have so many opportunities. We're free here. We have choices, and you have the chance to really change your life. So today is that day. So one of the most important things you can do is to get out of bed and give thanks for the gifts that your Creator has provided for you. Put on some really great, uplifting, moving music that makes you feel alive. Go hug your family. Go hug your friends. Call someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Make sure that you connect. Make sure that what you look at, what you put into your body, is actually nourishing you. Remember, your body is a temple, and a temple is a place where you go and you pray and you give thanks for the gifts that your Creator has provided for you. Look at everything you're putting into your body and say, is this nourishing me? Is this making me feel good? Or is this going to make me sick? Ask yourself questions. Ask yourself empowering questions. You will see that you will be more productive. You'll connect more with people. They'll start to give you compliments. Your self-esteem will go through the roof. You'll have more energy and more vitality. You'll be alive. You'll be energetic. Your skin, your hair, and your nails will look better, and you'll start to have a better outlook on life.
Wow, that was a great way to end it. Again, we've been on with Dr. Tony O'Donnell. I mean, he's been just giving us so much knowledge, and you really got me excited and got me fired up, and to think about, man, I should really kind of get my act back together and really kind of focus on my own personal health and wellness as well. So again, if you're interested in Dr. O'Donnell and what he's talking about, and again, he's formulated products, he's written 15 books, he's been doing this for decades, and what I really again love about him is it comes from the heart. It comes from pain as well, and the pain that he suffered to ultimately go out and to help other people. So a lot of passion projects, so to speak, actually come from pain. There's a lot of P's right there. But again, if you'd like some more information about Dr. O'Donnell, you can just text Tony, Tony, to 978-999-3113. Again, it's 978-999-3113. Again, text Tony to that number. You're going to get some information about him. You're going to learn about some of his products, and whatever product you decide that you want to pick up from Dr. Tony, he provides you with a money back guarantee as well. And the other thing too is like, look, I've been on TV for a long time. I've been in this space for a long time. We've sold millions and millions of units of health and wellness products, literally all over the world. And I've known Tony for a long time, and he's the real deal. And that's why he's here. That's why he's talking about this. He's been vetted, so to speak. So we know that, he's not just, somebody who's just like making this stuff in his bathtub. He's been doing this for a long time, written about it. He's a PhD. He speaks all over the world. So you can trust Dr. Tony. Again, lastly, text Tony to 978-999-3113. Dr. O'Donnell, it's been really a pleasure to have you here on the Alden Report. My name is Michael Alden. Hey, it's Mike Alden. I hope you're enjoying the Alden Report as much as I am. I love bringing to you new and exciting people that add value to your life. I'm also super excited to announce my latest book, Bestseller Secrets. Listen, if you're an author, maybe you're thinking about writing a book, maybe you've already written a book, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to continue to grow your brand, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to bring in more leads, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you wrote a cookbook or a children's book, maybe you wrote a fantasy book, a self-help book, a tell-all book, a novel. It doesn't really matter. In my latest book, Bestseller Secrets, I give you all the information that I've literally spent millions of dollars trying to figure this thing out, and I'm going to give it to you absolutely free with my book, Bestseller Secrets. Go to bestsellersecretsbook.com. Again, it's bestsellersecretsbook.com. I give you all the information that I've spent literally millions of dollars trying to figure this whole world out. My books have gone on to do amazing things. I'm a 3-time Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. I've hit #1 on Amazon hundreds of times. My books have been the #1 book in the world against all books in every category. And I've also done this for other authors. And I'm giving you this information absolutely free. Just go to bestsellersecretsbook.com. You got to pay a small processing fee, but it doesn't really matter, again, because I've spent millions of dollars. And here's the other secret. You can do all this stuff yourself. If you don't have a team, that's okay. If you don't have a lot of time, that's okay. You read the information in my book, again, whether you just started writing a book, whether you've written the book, whether you wrote the book years ago, and you want to kind of resurrect it. In my book, Bestseller Secrets, I show you exactly what you need to do, and I'm giving you the book absolutely free. Go to bestsellersecretsbook.com, download the book, take that information, use it to become a bona fide, legitimate #1 bestseller. I show you how to become a #1 bestseller in less than 24 hours. And again, I'm giving you this information for free. Go to bestsellersecretsbook.com. Again, it's bestsellersecretsbook.com.